Please welcome IBM Chairman, President, and Chief Executive Officer, Ginni Rometty.
Great. Thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure. I learned a lot.
I think we have to let it stop moving. All right.
Okay.
Ginni, thank you so much for being here. It's great to have you.
My pleasure.
It's been a wild ride over the last 6 months, hasn't it?
Yep, for both of us.
Well, look, I mentioned before, but and I think most of the audience knows, but I think it'd be great to hear a little bit more about IBM's history with open source and commitment over the last 20 years.
Well, it goes back a millennial. No, I'm kidding. I want to see if everyone was paying attention to your story. That do you really give a history lesson every conference?
Every year. I love history. I think there's still a lot of lessons we can learn.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I had forgotten some of that already, and so it was a great opening, I think, actually. And I think your point about how innovation happens is really the crux of it, because I think about, and we'll come to perhaps, why we're acquiring Red Hat and so happy about it. But I always say the brilliance of any transformation isn't necessarily what you do, it's how you do it. And so I couldn't agree more. It's a great opening for you there. So first, thanks for having me and to open it. And you started to talk about our history, and I guess that was your first question about the history with open source.
Yeah, we've been working together over 20 years, and I think some people forget that and how early IBM invested in open source and saw that opportunity.
Yeah, I was actually going back and remembering it was actually in the 70s, way before, to be clear, way before me in this, that it was 74. A little tongue-in-cheek, right? IBM did System R, kind of precursor to the relational database. But to Jim's point, it was 98, Apache, and then it was 99. So when he says we invested in Linux and in Red Hat, it was $1 billion. And in 99, that was a lot of money. I mean, it's still a lot of money.
Yeah, I must say it's a lot of money today.
Yeah, and so it's $34 billion. Yeah, and so just to be extra clear.
$34 billion. That's a great deal.
It's a bargain. And so I go back in that time, and then I just think about everything that has followed. So for those, whether it was Eclipse, Hyperledger, maybe we'll talk a little bit about that, Istio, there's quite a long list that goes on, right? So I think those roots are deep between the two of us, and some of the beliefs, I think, and this is something Jim and I have talked a lot about, the beliefs, meaning the beliefs in that how important an ecosystem is to drive innovation, unless you think you can hire every smart person there is, which none of us can. And so belief in the ecosystem, a true belief, and I have really come to appreciate two big things. One is the importance of open governance, and it is just vital to open source. And then the second piece is around, if you're going to take, you have to give. And so, I mean, it's really been something we've been trying, that we have instilled for decades about, that's okay, you use it, but you've got to contribute in a big way to there. So it's a history of not just the what we did, to me it's as important those beliefs and how we did it.
And so IBM, along with Red Hat, have been massive contributors over the last 20 years to open source, which is great. Why now? Why Red Hat? What did you see in open source that said, well, now it's important to not just partner in this, to actually be the leader in open source?
Well, that is to me, I mean, that's the whole reason, even when you asked me to join, I wanted to be sure to come. First, to you and the team, and over its long history, I mean, you have built a wonderful company, and maybe even more important, a wonderful culture, right? And a culture about open. And so,
and a wonderful ecosystem.
Yeah, no, I think it's important really to pay tribute to what you have done and taken it to this point. And so I think what brought Jim and I together, as we talked about it over a good period of time, was we both saw an even bigger opportunity in front of us. There's many joint clients and many not joint clients in the room. And this opportunity that there's so much what I would call mission critical work that can still yet move to the cloud. And that's public, that's private, except for so many companies, they've started with something already. And to get there, it means all these different islands, whether it's public clouds, private clouds, traditional. You've got to have some way to modernize and connect all those pieces together. And the timing in our mind is really right between you now have, if I could call it a fabric, and what you guys have built and what will continue to be built between, obviously Linux is key, but then you've got Kubernetes containers that are really going to form what I think is a standard for the world to do this. And so the why Red Hat now is those things have really all come of age. I think the opportunity is right in front of so many clients. It's a problem. They want to address this. And it isn't just to move everything to the cloud. It depends where data has to be, where there's lots of reasons you're going to end up with an environment that's hybrid. And there's a great way to pull more innovation in. So to me, the timing was exactly right for this now. It's kind of a chapter 2 for lots of clients. And the technology and the demand for open is so strong. I think what you and I would both like to see is Red Hat, we'd like to see OpenShift, it be the platform that allows people to take their innovation, get more of it, and put it wherever they want to put it.
Right.
So,
I'll clap for that.
well, that's what we're going to do.
So, you did pay a lot of money for a company with no IP. I think you recognize that, right?
Yeah, I'm quite well aware.
So, culture...
As I would say, I was born at night. It was not last night. Yeah.
So culture is critically important, I would argue, to Red Hat's success. And we've worked to build a distinctive culture. I know IBM has been, it's a storied, over 100-year-old company with a really distinctive culture. How do you see those cultures working together, coming together?
Well, working together is the right word. Coming together is not necessarily the way I would describe this. Jim and I have talked. This was one of the most important things because to preserve what open source is and the value of it, it is open innovation, right? So all welcome. And therefore so much, and you've written a lot about open. So part of what binds us is the same mission. We would both agree. We are on a mission to scale open source, right? To scale. So that's a good place to start from when you talk about two cultures. But the next thing, and maybe some people know this, and Jim and I have both agreed, Red Hat should stay an independent unit. Now we say, well, why would you? Well,
all right.
I thought you knew that.
I thought we were clear on that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I'm glad if people weren't clear on that. But there's really great reasons for that. The whole idea of having a platform that invites innovation from everyone, it means everyone. So you want to have it built on open source, built on open standards. You want any company, not just companies, friend, co-opetition, whoever it is, so that for our clients, they can count on that. And then the terms and conditions of open source, right? So all those reasons, the open ecosystem, and the only thing we can help do is help power it to go even further, wider, have it have more people certified, et cetera, right? So think of that as really broad scale horizontally. So we're both in agreement that stays it as an independent unit in the work that really Jim, Paul, Arun, the whole team has done, that you've worked so hard on that culture. And actually my observation has been the teams, they work very well together. We've witnessed
really
all these months.
Yes.
They're very like-minded on this. So then what's the other side of this is that then IBM will change, right? It's easier for me to change and to change IBM in that so much of what Red Hat does will build on top of that. And hopefully then what we'll offer to clients is, if they choose, a really secure mission-critical stack, a hybrid cloud stack. And so there's a choice, or you have a choice to run it other places. But so really continue, and I hope, together we take that as it is the world standard of open around, and it's just a bigger and broader plate for innovation everywhere.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let me just kind of come around, and you probably have a better view of what enterprises, what governments, what any large institutions doing with technology. What most excites you, or what do you see that's really exciting in the future? And then obviously, how might Red Hat and open source play a role in that?
Yeah, I've had in my own experience in reinventing IBM and continuing to, and I see so many other companies out there. I honestly feel we're all at the beginning of a journey where the first part, there's been a lot of experimentation with lots of interesting technologies. but not as much scale of really true transformation yet. So we're kind of now moving into that. So whether it's to scale AI, move mission critical work, really change the way work is done. What Jim said, what you said in your opening, it is so fundamentally true that unless you change how people do their work, nothing really changes, right? It's not to sprinkle technology in there. So I see everybody and so many of our clients, they're kind of right at that stage from experimentation to true transformation right now. And so some of what I think is particularly exciting, the possibilities out in the open source world, we've been talking about cloud, so that's obviously one, because I think that gives you just a wonderful platform to develop on, run anywhere, bring as much innovation in as you want. You and I agree 1,000%. The next one would be all of the different forms of AI that are out there, but trusted AI, right? So, the purpose is to augment man. The purpose is data should be owned by its owner, and AI that's ethical, explainable, free of bias. I think there's a wonderful opportunity there to put that in workflow. But things like blockchain, the work that's been done in Hyperledger, it's actually in the Linux Foundation. I'm a big believer that it'll take some time, but blockchain can fundamentally change most of supply chains. I see the work already we've done with 100 different companies on food safety. We're up to 10 million transactions, different kind of food things coming through for food safety. Or for global shipping in the world, we've got, again, between ports, governments, companies, actually a third of all the ports in the world are already hooked up. And I think we're at 500 million shipping transactions coming through. And just all of the overhead you remove and the transparency you put out there. Anyways, I don't mean to turn this into a blockchain discussion, but it's another form of open source that I think is really valuable. And I see coming in front of us, just from a technology perspective, to reinvent how work's done, things like quantum. So we've built the world's first quantum computer, offered on the cloud, 11 million experiments, but we made a really interesting choice this time. All the development language is open source. It's QuizKit. It is all out there in open source. And so that is where all that innovation will come from. So I see all these technologies, they'll just layer in, but now we're at this moment of fundamentally people trying to rethink what it is they do, build a platform of their own, with data of their own, and then rethink how their work is done and put all this AI and these other technologies in it. So I think it's a perfect moment. I couldn't be more happy about the acquisition of Red Hat. And again, the team has built a fantastic job. We know the job they do for our clients that are in the room. I am extremely respectful of preserving that. I always say to Jim, it's not like I have a death wish over $34 billion, so I'm not buying them to destroy them by any stretch. I want them to be successful. And so that's probably like the Red Hat section over there, Definitely.
Yeah, clearly, yes.
Clearly. So I hope it's a win-win-win. It's a win, big and foremost, it's a win for clients, right? This is a win for our clients, a win for our chief technology officers, a win for technology, as a way to drive more innovation because of it.
Well, and I really do think this creates together a platform to let us dramatically accelerate our customers' businesses. You say clients, we say customers, we still have to work that out.
Yeah, we went through a big discussion about which one of the,
Yeah, so I really am so excited about really the impact we can jointly have on the world together. Yeah. So I'm so thrilled as well. Thank you so much for coming and investing time.
My pleasure. IBM's getting a great new leader to join us here. So thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Super.